let me do it this way. Put up the picture of this cop. Put it up, all right? Sellout. Straight sellout. Now let me explain why I'm saying that. Keep her picture up. Freddie Gray, I don't give a damn what a jury says, or a grand jury, or a cop. Freddie Gray, in my humble opinion, was murdered. One of the officers charged with the Freddie Gray killing has now received a promotion within the Baltimore Police Department. You're looking at her. This is Alicia White. Went from being a lieutenant to a captain last week, 6 years after her charges were dropped. Oh, they were just waiting for these charges to be dropped so they could give her this grand promotion for carrying the company water here. On Friday, August 5th, Captain Alicia White, one of the 6 cops cleared in the 2015 killing of Freddie Gray, was promoted to captain in the performance standards section in Baltimore City's police force. In this capacity, like the one she is already serving in, she will conduct audits and inspections and ensure the force follows proper policies while on duties. I'll be damned. You mean one of the cops who was charged with not following proper policies that led to the death of Freddie Gray is now in charge of enforcing proper policies for other cops in Baltimore to follow? Wait, hold on. So the person who has been charged with violating policies is now the individual you put in charge of enforcing policies. This is why people don't like the police. This has to be the dumbest decision. What organization other than the police would make a decision like this for someone who was in clear violation of policy, protocol, procedure, and decided to be antithetical to human life? I got more. Police Commissioner Michael Harrison did not speak directly about Captain White. That should tell you something. The police commissioner did celebrate, who's a black woman, did celebrate the stepping up of all officers. A group he calls the next generation of leaders. The Baltimore Police Department is continuing its efforts to promote officers and put in place new leaders with the department to move the agency forward. So they're highlighting diversity. They're saying, oh, this is a woman in leadership. We are promoting her to captain. This is a good day for Baltimore. Now remember who prosecuted these cops. Put up her picture. She's going through a lot of hell right now. 2015, White was one of 6 officers indicted by this woman, Marilyn Mosby. That's the state's attorney for Baltimore City. Charges were ultimately dropped. In a federal case, the DOJ declined to bring charges against the officers after conducting its own investigation. Now watch how sinister this gets. The federal authorities commented on their assessment of her part in the incident. According to a statement later made by Sergeant White, she said, this is her account. She looked into the wagon, the paddy wagon. And while she could not see Gray's face, she saw him kneeling on the wagon floor, facing away from her and leaning over the bench with his head down. Now, let me remind you of what happened to Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray was put in the back of this paddy wagon. All of the protocols were violated as far as his safety, and they gave him what's called a rough ride. A rough ride is what cops would do when they don't like you. They put you in the back of the paddy wagon and they hit every bump they can hit. They take every curve sharply. They try to harm you in the back of that paddy wagon. And that's exactly what they accomplished. This is well known among police divisions. This is not something abnormal. This is normative in the culture. Yes, it violates policy, it violates protocol, but it is done on a regular basis. Ask any cop you know. That's what they did to Freddie Gray. But instead of him simply being injured or inconvenienced, they killed him because of this rough ride. All right? White attempted to question Gray believing that he might know something about the complaint she was investigating. It read, he gave no verbal response, but made an audible noise. White interpreted Gray's silence as an indication that he did not want to cooperate with the police. That's a damn shame, madam. Put up a picture again. He was dying, Captain. And you could have saved him. You could have saved the man. But you took his noise, his utterance, his inability to speak as a sign that he did not want to talk to the police. During their review, the feds discovered Officer William Porter informed the captain that Gray wanted a medic. Her reply to Porter was to follow the vehicle back to the Western District Police Station to relieve the crew of another arrestee and then take Gray to the hospital. The statement continued, regardless of whether Sergeant White or Officer Porter acted negligently by not calling a medic prior to stop 6, it would be impossible to prove that either deliberately ignored Gray's needs. Isn't that something? They are literally admitting, yeah, they were negligent. Yeah, their negligence probably led to the death of Mr. Gray, but you can't prove they were negligent on purpose. And for that reason, we make you captain. Oversight, authority over enforcement and protocols for the Baltimore Police Department. This doesn't happen in any other industry but the police. They're not accountable to each other. They should be accountable to us. For the people of Baltimore, you should be outraged. They are literally taking your tax dollars. You are paying for your own oppression. But that's the force, right? That's the mandate. That's what we all have to endure in this ridiculous upside down world. That's why we yell defund the police. We say defund the police meaning reprioritize policing budgets. People like this should not get promotions. They should get a jail sentence. They should have absolutely no authority over citizens or people, period, in our communities. Sharon, thoughts on this?
Yeah, they could have kept the administrative charges, but those got dismissed too, Dr. Richey, because there's no black and blue. There's just blue, as you articulated there, just blue. I can think of an organization that after this kind of conduct promotes you to captain. The mafia. The mafia would also promote you to captain after this kind of behavior. It absolutely would. She is someone who I wish I could spy upon. And here's what I mean by that. Those cameras, you're away and maybe you just have a camera on your baby at night and it's usually in black and white. Not because I'm a voyeur, but because I wish to see, does she sleep at all at night? Do you sleep at all? This woman should never be welcomed at another cookout. Not by her friend, not by her sister. Her family should not welcome her at a cookout. This is disgraceful. And I don't know how she gets any shut-eye after this. It's to think about the injuries, the spinal cord, the way you took us through it. It takes me right back to when we first learned about it as he's screaming in horrific pain. And that is her account to investigators. She disgusts me.
I say this often and I mean it. There should be no job on this planet where you are okay with putting on their uniform and taking off your humanity.
Amen.
And that's exactly what we see time and time again with policing in America.